Hi everyone, Lady Botch at the Crafty Atelier, or Angela's here, with my final gelfling makeover, and this is for the Vapra clan. So here I have this head. These ears did not work out. I used foam clay, they didn't stick, and as I was rerouting the head, they fell off. But I did some prep work. I cut off her finger, I gave her a magnet for her wings, and painted her head as well. So did some prep work. But yeah, I broke my needle twice as well. This band-aid's just for rerouting, so I didn't hurt myself or anything. But I did do something different with her hair. I put them, obviously I cut them and then I brushed them out only halfway. And then I put pastels throughout on both sides. And I took, because of I did them in the colors of the palette of the doll, and I took 70%, I believe, isopropyl alcohol on just a paper towel, and I kind of went through it trying to get most of the chalk off, but still trying to keep the color. It does come out very muted, which I wanted. I didn't want it to be like overbearing or anything like that, even though it would be really cool. But yeah, so I think it turned out okay. It was my first try kind of doing something like this. And yeah, I mean, it doesn't stain your hands. It doesn't stain your doll after you've taken it off with the alcohol. Except the yarn does become almost like cotton candy. Like it has that texture. So yeah, it doesn't look great right now, but I do tame it in the end. Yeah, her ears popped off at this point, so I am going to, yeah, I didn't reboot the whole head either, because she's going to have it up, like a half up, half down sort of thing. So here I am doing the ears in the like polyplastic, heated up with water, and then you just kind of mold it and sculpt it, and it's dry within about 5 minutes, and it's pretty hard. So I did this probably 3 times. Yeah, it was hard each time getting it off because I messed up the first time. I squished it. I didn't wait for it to dry. I was being very impatient because I knew at this point in the game I was like losing motivation to even want to do this doll because I have so many other things that I need to do. So it was very hard. But I got through it. I just pushed through. It's probably not my best one out of all of them, but I do like how she turned out, just as a doll herself. But as a whole, it's okay. But I just made up a pattern for her wings, and I just got them out of like a dollar store foam pieces, and I just glued them together and just cut them how I thought it looked good. Again, this was not my best work, but in the end, I think they turned out all right for what they are. So I did have a color palette of blue, light pink, and purple. And these are the colors. There's silver and like airy colors because this clan is from the north. So I tried to bring in some very Nordic themes as well as the colors that are actually for this clan. This clan is Vapra, and this is like the highest clan in all of Thra, and it's like the overseers of all the other hobbits. And they, of course, with that comes, you know, the ego, and all of that. So that's why they're like up in the mountains. It's the capital of the gelfling clans, and so they're a little bit more highborn. Their skin is very pale. They don't have, you know, the forehead color or anything like that. So yeah, these are very studious, academic clan. So there's mountains and ranges and stuff like that. So I already sketched out the first layer, and I painted her ears purple as well, purple and pink. I just put some pastels, and they're okay. They're not my greatest work at all, but I do like how her face turned out. I think it's very, I want to say, what's the word for it? Almost like stepmotherish, if that makes sense. Very like look down on you kind of thing. With that whole persona of being highborn. So yeah, I tried to give her that look, and it was different. I did a lot of different things on this one. I experimented a lot more on this one than I did in previous dolls. So yeah, I mean, it turned out okay, I think. But yeah, so I gave her some almost like half-lidded eyes. I gave her dark/light blue eyes to go with like the mountain theme, like up in the mountains. Very airy, very wintry, very cold, So I tried to bring in those elements as well. So I hope I did that okay. Yeah, it took me a while to get this out this week. I've just been spending my time on this doll this past week, and just trying to get things organized. I hope I have something going on in October, the very first weekend in October. So that's why I'm trying to split my focus a little bit. That's why it took me a little bit longer. But yeah, I think I did okay for my last gelfling here. But I mean, she's brighter than the rest of them, but it kind of makes sense since she's north in the mountains, very cold kind of thing, So yeah, it's kind of cool because her wings are a bit different than the rest. The rest are, I want to say, a lot like where they come from. So hers are very feathery. I wanted them to be almost angel-like because she's up in the mountains, so I wanted them to be warm. And basically what they do is they high jump off of the mountain caves that are up there, and that's how they glide down and go all over. So but they had to be warm to do that, so that's why I picked more of a feathery look than say a dragonfly for the Deucin clan girl, Nasimi. So yeah, more of a desert girl. So I think they're all very different, but I like how they all turned out. So yeah, so I just keep going. I build up all the layers. Yes, I skipped a lot, but it was just building up layers, you guys. It was the same thing over and over again. And all of it was an hour long, so I had to cut it way down. So, but yeah, it's the same methods as before. So I'm going to leave you to the rest of this, and I will get back to you soon. And we're back. Here are her wings, and she has some charms, some feather charms, of course. Yeah, she did this herself, so yeah. It was sort of like, if I couldn't get them on her ears, I got them on her wings. But this is a little capelet. This is just a little polymer clay Harry Potter monster book that I made a long time ago, and these are too. Those are just spell scrolls. I made this little map. It's not great, but that's where she lives, is up at the north. So these again are just some extra books that I had laying left over when I first started crafting, so they're not great. Don't judge me, please. But yeah, I really liked how, this was okay, her little bag, but these are going to go on her feet, and this is her underwear, and her dress, I gave her underwear because her dress is a little see-through, and you really can't tell, but I just wanted to make sure, just to be modest. And this is how she turned out. I gave her a little crown. Yes, I see the blushing is not great. That is because of the head tie thing, and we're just going to ignore it, okay? We're just going to ignore it, okay? But, yeah, I am going to get back to you when I bring you her story. Enjoy. The hometown of the Vapra clan is called Harar, high in the northern mountains. Mostly cloudy and cold, the gelfling have become pale in complexion. The most cultured and literate of the clans, they became the ruling class of gelfling. The mountainous area provided a suitable arena for improving flying skills, and the Vapra rivaled the Sifa. The Vapra were very elegant and lived luxuriously. They tended to look down on other clans as being inferior, but not all of them. Layfla was in her usual spot in the clan's extensive library, in a tiny window nook surrounded by books, indexes, tombs, and ancient journals. She loved reading about the ancient tales and myths from her people. Being a lowly lady in waiting, she had enough free time to educate herself. As she flipped through the ancient journals, she came across an entry titled Prophecy of Change. The story told of one that was of the light and of the dark, one who was born in the light of the night, the one who would bring about change to all the gelfling people. The entry wrote of the one needing help of all the gelfling to bring about this change. Once the prophecy was fulfilled on the last night of autumn, peace would flourish throughout Thra for the next millennia. The prophecy was vague. It was written by Algra, who Layfla had never heard about in all her readings. She yawned and left the library for a quick walk before the dinner chime. She wrapped her cloak around her and left for the forest bordering Harar. As she walked and gathered small flowers, a smell wafted into her nose of unwashed clothes and mud. Then suddenly, a mud-covered blonde jumped out holding a dagger. Layfla didn't panic, but calmly calmed the startled gelfling girl until she was able to talk. The girl's lanky blonde hair lay over her face as she was covered in mud and moss, one green eye looking wide at her. "My name is Layfla of the Vapra clan. What's yours?" "Smidgen, but everyone calls me Smidge." "Nice to meet you, Smidge. What brings you to Harar?" "I didn't know where I was, but I am just going away." She hesitated. "Well, that way is the Crystal Desert, that way is the Crystal Castle, and that way is the Caves of the Grot." She pointed to all three directions south. Wish you luck on your travels." And she waved goodbye to a dumbfounded Smidge.